Sir.
Yes, you can begin.
ചന്തമേറിയ പൂവിലും ശബളാഭമാം ശലഭത്തിലും സന്തതം കരതാരിയെന്നൊരു ചിത്രചാതുരി കാട്ടിയും ഹന്തചാരു കടാക്ഷമാലകളർക്കരശ്മിയ നീട്ടിയും ചിന്തയാം മണിമന്ദിരത്തിൽ വിളങ്ങുമീശനി വാഴ്ത്തുവിൻ ചിന്തയാം മണിമന്ദിരത്തിൽ വിളങ്ങുമീശനി വാഴ്ത്തുവിൻ.
Thank you, Nimaya. Now I invite Jyotika for the welcome speech. Jyotika.
Good evening, all. The Research and Postgraduate Department of English, Sri Shankara College, is conducting a webinar on the topic Perceiving Culture in the Contemporary Literary Scenario. I am entrusted with the responsibility of welcoming the gathering. Today, we have Dr. A. Balu Vijayaraghavan as our speaker. Dr. A. Balu Vijayaraghavan is presently working as an assistant professor at the Department of English, Sri Krishna College, Guruvayur. He obtained his PhD in Indian and World Literature from English and Foreign Language University, Hyderabad in 2018 for his thesis titled Home, an Ideological Icon in Select Novels. He started his teaching career at Mount Carmel College, Bengaluru, and later he taught at Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham, Amritapuri campus, Kollam. I would like to welcome Dr. A. Balu Vijayaraghavan on behalf of the students and teachers of English Department. Next, I would like to welcome our principal, Dr. Suresh A., to this program. I would also like to welcome Sri C.P. Jayashankar, the Chief Operating Officer of Adishankara Group of Institution, Dr. Anjana Shankar, the Head Department of English, Mr. Manu Prakash, Coordinator of the program, other teachers and participants to this program. I hope that everybody will actively participate in it and make it a grand success. Thank you.
Thank you, Jyotika. I invite Dr. Balu Vijayaraghavan to make the talk. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Jyotika, for that welcome. First of all, let me thank the principal as well as the HOD of the PG Research Department of English, Sri Shankara College, for giving me an opportunity to deliver a lecture on the topic Perceiving Culture in Contemporary Literary Scenario. Now, before I begin my session, I hope at least some of you remember back in 2017 when there was a news about.
Sorry, an interruption. Could you please put on your video?
Okay, sir. Okay. Good evening, all. So I just mentioned about this 2017 news on the whole uproar about Chetan Bhagat's text 5.someone being included in the Delhi University syllabus. So I hope at least some of you remember that particular incident. So there were many comments on that particular news. Now, some were against that particular notion, and some of them they said, like, why not? Why not Chetan Bhagat? Now, before I actually begin my talk, let me just ask some of you at least, what is your opinion on that particular news item? if you remember, back in 2017. If any of you could respond, maybe I'll just start with that. Is there anyone who remember that particular news item back in 2017? There was a whole lot of uproar regarding that particular news item, where many of them they strongly opposed this text being included in the Delhi University syllabus. Now, among students, is there anyone who has their views on that particular news item? There are no one, then I'll just proceed. Now, that entire issue, if we try to analyze that entire issue of Chetan Bhagat's text being included in the, or that proposal of Chetan Bhagat's book to be included in the English syllabus of Delhi University, in a way, we can see that, or in a way, if you think about it, there's actually nothing wrong in it. Now, many of the people who opposed that particular news, their main opposition was the reason, or they mainly opposed it because many of them, they felt his text did not have that literary value. That's one of the reasons why, because Chetan Bhagat, as you all know, he is, many of them, many of the readers, especially students and people belonging to English literature, many of them, they regard his text or his literature as something that is of substandard. Now, that is one of the main reasons why there was a whole commotion regarding why this text were included, or why his particular text, 5 point someone, if I'm not wrong, that's a text that was supposed to be included in that particular syllabus. So, who determines or who decides whether his texts are to be included or not? Or who decides the literary value? Now, these are some of the pertinent questions that we need to ask. Or if this particular news item is new, if you haven't heard of this news item before, please search about this particular news item in Google and just try to analyze that particular incident. So in a way, so we need to question who determines the literary value, or what is the reason behind that. So with that, I come to my main topic here, perceiving culture in the contemporary literary scenario. Now, what exactly is literary? So just now, I started with this particular news item because that talks about, or that is something that deals with the literariness or the literary value. Now, what is this literary? That is something to be, or that is something often questioned. Now, for the students who are attending, students as well as the faculty members who are listening to this talk, who are willing to bear my talk for quite some time. Now, my lecture is essentially about this field called cultural studies. So just as a disclaimer, I would like to say this particular lecture, which I'm going to deliver now, is about this discipline of culture studies. So it's basically introducing the very notion of culture studies and looking into some of the important points that we need to keep in mind while thinking about culture studies. Now, why I chose this particular topic for this delivery is because most of the students, especially students after PG, they do not exactly know how to go about with a cultural analysis, or how to culturally view a particular text. That is something which is very unknown to them. It's quite surprising. So I thought I'll also start a journey in understanding culture studies. So while preparing for this particular lecture, I was also a student. I was also a student who was trying to look into those appealing aspects of culture studies, which I feel are necessary, that everyone should know. Now, culture studies, as you all know, now in terms of research, in terms of the methodology of literature or methodology of research, as many of you know, there are many approaches that we take. There are textual approaches, there are, there are cultural approaches, different approaches. Now, among the cultural approaches, the field or the discipline culture studies is very essential. Now, for teachers, I'm pretty sure you all must know that at present, in terms of research or in terms of reading, in terms of interpretation, most of the researches, most of the readings, most of the interpretations, they're all cultural interpretations. So, but then there are many students among us who do not exactly know how exactly do you analyze culture. So that's why I titled my lecture as Perceiving Culture in the Contemporary Literary Scenario. So by literary, so that very term literary itself is something which is often debated. Now, what exactly is literary, or what exactly is literature? Is it only about Shakespeare? Is it only about Tagore? Is it only about Dryden, Pope, and Dr. Johnson? So, as you all know, in the contemporary scenario, in the contemporary literary scenario, literature is not always Shakespeare, or literature does not confine in terms of poetry, prose, drama, or short story. Yeah, of course, poetry, prose, or drama. Let's put it like that. There are multiple, multifarious aspects of literature at present. Literature can be music, literature can be painting, literature can be a graffiti. Now coming in terms of painting, graffiti. Literature can be a comic book. So there are many things that come under literature at present. So that very conventional or very traditional notion of a literature does not exist. It has been dismantled. So those of you who are aware of literary and critical theories, we can say that, of course, culture studies is definitely a post-structuralist or a postmodern approach, because it dismantles conventions or all the conventional modes of literature, not only in terms of literature, but in several disciplines. So that is what culture studies essentially is. Now here, I'm talking about contemporary. So contemporary cannot be contemporary unless there is a traditional, as you all know. So traditionally, so that's why I mentioned Shakespeare and Tagore. So traditionally, I'm suggesting to the students here. So traditionally, if I ask you, who's your favorite author, or what do you know about English literature? Who are the legends you know in English literature? Students might respond saying Shakespeare among the classics. In the Indian context, they might mention Tagore. Now, I just now mentioned about paintings. So if I ask, who's the famous painter, who's one among the famous painters that you know, I'm sure most of you might respond. Or there are people who might respond, M.F. Hussain, Raja Ravi Verma, Salvador Dali. But those are the traditional ones. Now, what about so of course, like when we talk about painting, painting is not something that is restricted to all these classes. There are many others who are unknown. They are also painters. They are also artists in that sense. Now, I started my discussion talking about Chetan Bhagat. Chetan Bhagat is also a writer. His works are also literature in that sense. Whether it is high literature or low literature, that's a totally different thing. So cultural studies basically talks about all these things. Or cultural studies basically tries to bring to the forefront all those things that were once neglected. Now, let me directly go to the term cultural studies. So for those of you for whom this term is unknown or this term is not quite familiar, cultural studies is essentially an interdisciplinary approach. Interdisciplinary approach in the analysis of culture. Interdisciplinary, discipline among disciplines, which means culture studies, it has several disciplines within that particular discipline. It has feminism, it has post-colonialism, it has gender studies, it has post-structuralism, etc. It has anthropology. So it's an interdisciplinary approach which is interested in the processes by which power relations between and within groups of human beings organize cultural artifacts and their meanings. Now, this is the definition of culture studies. That is, it is interested in the processes by which power relations between and within groups of human beings organize cultural artifacts. So just now, the initial discussion about the news item. If you see that, there also we can see that there is a sort of a power play. Now this whole commotion about whether his text should be included or not, there is exactly a, what do you call it, a clash of power, because some say that his works are literary, some say that his works are non-literary or substandard. So there exactly we can see that there's a tension there. Now the question is, who has the ultimate power or who has the ultimate authority? Now culture studies try to analyze that. So here culture studies basically tries to analyze this power relations between and within groups of human beings. Okay, how they organize cultural artifacts and their meaning. So different, for instance, so if I take that, I'm sticking on to that example. So if we take that example, there are many to whom his works are quite good, and for others, his works are of substandard. So different. So it depends on the readers. Depends on the readers how they derive meaning out of it.
Excuse me, sir, you're muted, sir. Excuse me, sir, you're muted.
Yeah.
Your audio is muted.
Yeah.
Yes,
Am I
sir,
audible?
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So it deals with the power relations there. Okay. Now, coming back to what I was discussing in terms of literature. Okay, so literature, food habits, food, okay, cinema, sports, celebrity culture, they are also part of literature at present. So culture studies also tries to deal with their representation. Now, I'm sure most of you have seen this movie, Salt and Pepper. It's a Malayalam movie. So I don't know how many of you have observed this thing. So in that particular movie, there are two things that have been brought to the forefront, which were once neglected. One is archaeology and second one is cookery. So both these things, now both these disciplines, they were once neglected and now they are being brought to the forefront. And as you all know, that movie was a both critically and a commercial success. So that's an example of a cultural approach. Again, I think that movie got released in 2011. In 2009, there was this movie, Paleri Manikyam, Oru Padira Kolabadagathinte Katha, by T.P. Rajeevan. Now that was also a very critically acclaimed film. And there again we can see that detective novels, other than Arthur Conan Doyle or Agatha Christie, there were many detective novels, especially in Malayalam, which were not widely accepted. We saw that this particular movie, it got acceptance. It's based on T.P. Rajeevan's novel of the same title, that got acceptance. So that again is a cultural change, or that's a change in the approach. So that's basically a cultural approach. So those things that were neglected once, they are now being brought to the forefront. All right. So now, if we try to look into the meaning of culture itself. So culture, it derives from two terms, cultura and collier, meaning to cultivate and also to honor as well as to protect. So that's how the term culture itself originates. So it means to cultivate and also to honor or to protect. Now, so traditionally, as you all know, culture referred to the habits, the customs, the practices of the upper classes, also known as the elite classes of the 19th century Europe. So the traditional meaning or the conventional meaning of culture was the culture or the habits or the practices of the upper classes. All right. Now, in culture studies, upper classes of the 19th century Europe, and culture studies, culture thereby is a mode of generating meanings as well as ideas. So that is something which we'll be discussing in detail. So in culture studies, what we do is we try to generate new meanings, generate new ideas. So it's basically a mode of generating such ideas. Now, what exactly is this mode? So if we read text of culture studies, there are several terms that we come across. So we need to carefully analyze what are these terms. So culture studies is regarded as a mode of generating meanings and ideas. Now, what exactly is this mode? This mode is a negotiation over which meanings are valid. So culture studies basically views whether a meaning is proper or not, or what exactly is the meaning. Now, as you all know, in the postmodern scenario, postmodernism, I think most of you, even the students, teachers, of course, they know, the students who are attending this talk, most of you know what postmodernism is or post-structuralism is. It is a total dismantling of singularity. It is not universalism, or postmodernism is something that does not advocate universalism but multiversalism. So the meanings, you do not exactly have a meaning, but you have meanings. So here, that's the same thing which culture studies also does. Culture studies, or this cultural approach, is basically something that debates over a meaning of a particular artifact, or meaning of a particular event, or meaning of anything. So this culture studies is a mode of negotiation over which meanings are valid, or meanings are governed by power relations. So again, so that's a definition of culture studies which is given. So it basically deals about this meanings controlled over, or the meanings debated by power relations. Now, so if we try to, if we try to look into, if we try to look more into the origins as well as the other aspects of culture studies, as I had already mentioned, elite culture or the upper class culture was something that controlled the meanings. So just now I mentioned it's basically a debate over meaning. So it was the elite class who controlled the meanings, and non-elite views on life as well as art, they were rejected as tasteless or useless or even stupid. Now, if I say this particular juncture, if I say that I am an admirer of Mills and Wombs, for those of you who are familiar with the text, if I say that I'm an ardent admirer of Mills and Wombs, I'm pretty sure most of you will definitely have a smirk on their faces, because Mills and Wombs is something which is, in Malayalam we say Paingili. So, but then why is it regarded so? Who regards it as Paingili? Or who regards it in such a way? That is a question. Culture studies basically tries to question. So just before I mentioned, like I mentioned Chetan Bhagat, in terms of paintings, as I mentioned. Now, instead of paintings, why not graffiti? Instead of classical music, why not pop music? Why not Michael Jackson? So these are the questions, or culture studies basically try to, ask these questions. Why not this? Why only? Or who is the one who determines the standard? Or who is the one who determines what is to be read? Right. So I had already mentioned this point just to add to that particular point that I had mentioned. So culture studies looks at the mass or the popular culture. The mass or the popular culture and everyday life. So popular culture, as you all know, popular culture is basically a culture of the masses. So something which is followed by the mass, the many. Now, as I had mentioned just now, graffiti, comic books. Okay, at present we have graphic novels. Yeah. Then we have mass cinema, mass movies as opposed to art movies. Popular music. Okay. Now again, open spaces of the city. Okay, that is also something which is studied or analyzed through a cultural approach. Those of you have seen this movie, Rakshadhikari Baiju. It's a Malayalam movie released back in 2017 that deals with the study of such an open space. So if you remember, such kind of a movie, such kind of an approach was something that was quite uncommon in Malayalam cinema till then. Now that again is a cultural approach, because that open space, that playground, which is the setting of that movie, that itself is regarded as a text. Of course, film, of course, as you all know, it is regarded as a literary form. Now, within that film, this particular space is regarded as a text and it is analyzed. That's also a cultural approach. Okay. Now, so it's essentially the culture of the everyday life of the larger number of people. As I had already mentioned, for a long time, these themes, these were the themes that were quite unexplored for a long time. They were neglected. Now, those things are being brought to the forefront. And culture studies, argues that culture is essentially about the meanings generated by a community or a society. So when we view culture, it's basically meaning generated by a society or a community. And it argued that objects and artifacts used by these masses must be taken seriously. So those things that are given importance in each different culture, just because one artifact, just because one event is regarded insignificant by one particular community. That does not mean that particular event or that particular artifact must be neglected. Every culture or every community has its own importance. So that is what culture studies basically harps. Now, I mentioned this particular term, popular culture. So whenever we talk about culture studies, of course, this is another term that you have to look into simultaneously, that is popular culture. So popular culture is nothing but the set of practices and beliefs shared by the masses. It is something which is followed by a large number of people, constituted by the everyday life of the masses, such as food habits, fashion, music, reading, etc. All these things. Now, culture studies, as I had mentioned, so these are the points that I already mentioned, just to add on to that. It's basically a contemporary practice. So that's why I mentioned, the contemporary literary scenario. So it's a contemporary practice having different disciplines. So I mentioned a few disciplines just before. Apart from that, all the theories that you have learned, such as Marxism, gender studies, film theory, feminism, all these things I had mentioned before. Now, all these things can also be incorporated into culture studies. Now, so I think by now you've got a fair idea about what culture studies is. I assume that you've understood whatever I've. Okay, I think there was a small network issue in between. Okay, so I assume that you've understood whatever I've discussed till now. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You can continue.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. There was a network issue. I'm sorry. Yeah. So next, we need to see what exactly is the function of culture studies. So till now, I gave you a general idea about what culture studies is. Now, how exactly it works, or what is the essence of culture studies in terms of its practical nature, or practically, what exactly is culture studies? Now, in practice, culture studies redefines a text. So if you, those of you who are in the academic world, you must be familiar that if you look into the titles of research papers these days, rereading, redefining, remystifying, it's basically trying to view it again. So culture studies redefines a text. Not only in written language. So here, exactly, when I talk about a text, or when we say text in terms of culture studies, it's not always written text, but it can be a photograph. It can be a folk song. Okay, it can be a music album. So I remember one of my fellow colleagues, not fellow colleagues, he was my classmate during my research period. He did his research on Marathi folk tradition, Marathi folk songs. And there was another friend of mine who did her PhD in Baul tradition, Baul music tradition. Now, all these things, they fall under literature these days. For those of you who are, trying to look into more research possibilities, new research possibilities, you can look into all these things. Now, again, music albums. There's another person whom I know who did his MPhil research on Eminem. Those of you who have listened to Eminem. He did his research on Eminem and English literature itself. So culture studies has opened up many new possibilities, many such possibilities. So music albums, dance, advertisements, hairstyles, etc. All these things. Okay. Even political readings of the new media. So again, so if we try to view cultural approach, we can see that. So all the Facebook posts, Twitter posts, blogs, all these things, they all fall under this cultural approach. All these things are, studied under a cultural approach. Okay. Now, so this cultural, when we say cultural, it is constituted by and it constitutes what is called the social. So when we say cultural, of course, its implication is that of social. We're actually dealing with what is social. So till now, many things that we discussed. So these are all parts of the society. Let it be food habits, let it be fashion, let it be music or whatever. So cultural is constituted by and it constitutes the society or the social. Okay, the social realm of society. Now, cultural artifacts in the society are studied through the analysis of everyday life. So when we say culture of the masses, we are basically trying to deal with the culture of the everyday life. Okay. Now, culture studies analyzes the subjectivity. Now, when we say everyday life, it deals with the subjectivity in people's responses. Since you know that response or experience is something that is subjective. So I hope this point is pretty clear. When we deal with everyday life, of course, my experience or my everyday life experience might not be the same as you might have. It's different. So it is subjective. So cultural studies basically tries to view this subjectivity. Now, people, so that's what it says, people respond emotionally to things, and this is a central part of their identity. So these are the ways in which culture studies moves, or the discipline moves. It looks into mass culture and their everyday life. So mass culture in general, culture of the masses. Now, how does it go with the analysis? It goes or it delves into their everyday life, in turn goes to their subjectivity of the individual. Now, the subjectivity, of course, is part of their identity. Now, so this is how, or this is exactly the practical way of culture studies. I'll explain this further much later. Now, before moving on to that, so when we say contemporary, so the topic of my discussion is perceiving culture in the contemporary literary scenario. As you all know, this contemporary does not exist without tradition. So let's view, or let's look into, when we deal with culture studies, let's look into some of the traditional aspects of culture. Okay. So only if we have some idea about the traditional aspect of culture, will we be able to look into the contemporary aspect. Now, in that, I would like to start with Matthew Arnold. Most of you know Matthew Arnold. Matthew Arnold has written this famous work called Culture and Anarchy. This is also a work that you're all familiar with. Now, I hope most of you remember this particular definition by Matthew Arnold in that particular text. Culture is the best that has been thought and said in the world. It's one of my favorite quotations. Culture is the best that has been thought and said in the world. And that is what he defines culture as, not popular culture, culture. But to him, popular culture was a form of anarchy. Opposite to the best that has been thought and said. Now, this is what Matthew Arnold had. That was Matthew Arnold's view on popular culture. He felt that popular culture was something that stood for, or that was a form of anarchy, total disorder. However, this is one view of Matthew Arnold, where he sees education as the agent of promoting culture, especially among the working classes, who are to be cultured or civilized. So this is what Matthew Arnold felt, that the working classes, they must be, cultured or civilized. Now, why they must be cultured or civilized? Hoping that it would forbid them against the temptations of trade unionism, political agitation, and cheap entertainment. So this is what Matthew Arnold felt, or these are Matthew Arnold's views on culture. So he essentially views culture as a powerful tool to surveil or to police the anarchy, the mass working class elements of any society. So culture is basically something that controls. So this is what Matthew Arnold had about culture. He also spoke about his view on popular culture. Now, following this particular view, so this Matthew Arnold's view was later carried forward by F.R. Lewis and Q.D. Lewis. So F.R. Lewis believes, or I mean, he believed that there was an increasing cultural decline in the 20th century. And Q.D. Lewis also argued that people turned to mass culture for distraction. So this was how Matthew Arnold and his successors believed in popular culture. So their notion of culture, their idea of culture, or their perception of culture was something that was different. Now, any discussion on culture studies will be baseless as well as incomplete if two names are not mentioned, and that those names are Richard Hoggart and Raymond Williams. So those of you who are familiar with culture studies, they know. Now, Richard Hoggart as well as Raymond Williams, they are the two strong pillars of culture studies. So both of them, when they visited Oxford as well as Cambridge, they were quite disappointed with the syllabus of those syllabus taught in those universities. Now, those syllabus, that syllabus was basically for the elite, and their movement was against that so-called elitism. Or they, since both of them, they belong to the working class, they were in support of a counterculture, or something that would counter this particular thing that was happening at both the universities. So their movements or their reaction is something that marked a change in these views of culture, and that is something that developed, or that helped in developing the field of the discipline of culture. So the work of Raymond Williams, okay, Raymond Williams, as well as many of his projects, it influenced what is called the BCCS or CCCS, the Birmingham Center for Contemporary Culture Studies. Okay, so his approach, so Raymond Williams's approach was essentially Marxist, okay, adapting theoretical insights from post-structuralism, and he is someone who developed what is called the cultural materialism. I think most of you have heard this particular term. So Raymond Williams, he played a significant role in terms of culture studies. Now, talking a little more about Raymond Williams, in his work, The Long Revolution, is one of his famous works, Long Revolution. There is a chapter which is titled The Analysis of Culture. Now, in that particular chapter, he describes culture into three categories. The first one is the ideal culture. Now, when we look into culture studies, it's essential for us to know all these things. Only then we will be able to distinguish between what is a traditional view as well as a contemporary view. So in this chapter, Analysis of Culture, he describes three categories. The first one is the ideal culture. Ideal culture. So ideal culture, as you all know from the term itself, it's a state or a process of human perfection in terms of certain absolute or universal values. Something that is to be, you ought to be like that. So that is what he mentions by ideal culture. So this is the first type of culture that he mentions in his work, ideal culture. Second, he talks about what is called a documentary culture, a culture that is documented. So where culture is a body of intellectual and imaginative work where human thought and experience are recorded in a detailed way. So it's something that is documented, something that is recorded. Culture is something that is recorded or documented. That's the second category that he mentions. Now, the third one is what he explains in his cultural materialism. It is called the anthropological culture. Now, this is something that Raymond Williams developed into, or later he further explained this thing in what is called cultural materialism. So in anthropological culture, culture is a description of a particular way of life, clarifying or expressing certain meanings and values. So this is what Williams's cultural materialism is. It's basically an anthropological approach where culture is the description of a particular way of life, clarifying or expressing. The meaning is again meanings as well as values. They are being clarified or they're expressed as well as clarified. They're debated. They're not certain. That's a point which he mentions. So altogether, this is how he develops into his idea of culturalism. So as we all know, this ideal culture, the ideal culture as well as the documented culture, documentary culture that he spoke about. Now, both of them, they are more inclined towards Arnold's concept of culture. Whereas the anthropological approach is the one that was developed by, which is totally opposed to the Arnold's views of culture. So this is what Raymond Williams discusses in his work, The Long Revolution, in the chapter Analysis of Culture. Now, after Raymond Williams, of course, we have Richard Hoggart, but I'm not going deep into Richard Hoggart, but another name that you need to know in culture studies is Stuart Hall. Okay, so Stuart Hall, he has written a famous essay in 1980 called Culture Studies, the Two Paradigms. Okay, there's an essay written by Stuart Hall. Now, Stuart Hall's name is more than Raymond Williams as well as Richard Hoggart. In the contemporary world, in the contemporary culture studies, his name is something that is more often mentioned, Stuart Hall. Okay, so Stuart Hall is viewed as an icon of contemporary culture studies. Okay. Now, he has written a particular work called In the Popular Arts. That's one of the works by Stuart Hall. There are a few other important works of Stuart Hall. I'll come to that. Now, okay, I think I'll just go to that first and then maybe I'll just come to this particular work. So Stuart Hall has written this famous essay called Culture Studies, Two Paradigms. Now he has also written another famous essay called Encoding, Decoding. Now this particular essay was part of the assistant professor syllabus for the PhD examination that happened last year. Encoding, Decoding is a very famous essay by Stuart Hall. So here he says that the meanings within the text by now I've already mentioned. So text means it's not the written text, but then photograph or music or whatever cultural text that we're taking. Now, the meanings within this particular text, okay, are organized through the operation of certain codes. Okay, that is why the essay is titled Encoding, Decoding. So I think in communication, these terms are quite familiar. For those of you who have written NET examination or we are prepared for the NET examination. So we know in the first paper, there was of course a question on communication. I mean, there was a chapter on communication. So where both these terms, encoding and decoding, I think we are all familiar with it. Now here, Stuart Hall takes both these terms on a cultural level. So here he uses the example of a television. He says that if you view a particular program on a particular historical event, okay, so imagine you're viewing a television program on a particular historical event. What they do is that they present a story. Now the entire information or the entire report or whatever they're doing on this particular historical incident, they're not presented to us in a raw manner. It is made into a story. It is made into a story and then presented to us, the audience. So what the television channels do is that they encode it. So when they make it into a story, that means they're encoding it and then present it to the viewer. As viewers, we are decoding it. So this is the essence of this particular essay, encoding, decoding. So that's what. So it is left for the audience for interpretation. Now, this decoding or this interpretation, it influences people's sentiments, people's thinking, people's ideology, people's politics, and people's behavior. So that is what he mentions in this particular essay, encoding, decoding. Right. If you wish to know more about it, you can search for it. It's a very good essay by Stuart Hall. Now, so here, yeah, coming back to the other essay that I was talking about, that is the popular arts. That's another essay by Stuart Hall. Just want to mention this and then we'll move on to the next point. So in this particular essay, popular arts, from the title itself, popular arts, we can see that Stuart Hall argues that while most of the high culture is good, some popular culture is also good. So this is what he says. So, yeah. So most of the high culture is good, but some popular culture is also good. That is what he argues in the particular essay. Now, the term popular arts, so that title of his essay is popular arts. So the term popular arts is indicative of the strong rapport between artist as well as audience, which exists in Charlie Chaplin movies and jazz music. So that's what he mentions in this particular. I haven't read this essay as such, but then this is the information that I got. So this is something which he talks that, you know, popular arts from the title itself, which means it establishes a strong connection, a strong rapport between whoever is performing it and whoever is seeing it, viewing it. All right. So that's what he says. And then he says, for him, the popular is understood in the context of a continuing tension to the dominant culture. So as I had already mentioned in the beginning, so culture studies basically views or essentially views the power tensions or the power relations. So here also we can see that on one side there is a dominant culture or there's a dominant what is called a dominant high culture, and on the other hand there is a popular culture as well. So it studies the tension between them. Now, also that's what he says, there are no popular cultural forms or signs that belong to a particular class or whose meaning can be guaranteed forever. So again, this is a point that we have already mentioned. So meaning is something that can be contested, that can be debated. There is no definite meaning as such. All right. Now, so I mentioned Raymond Williams and Stuart Hall. So I think these are the two main figures that you need to know in terms of culture studies. Okay. Now, moving on to our main discussion. So culture studies, as I had already mentioned, questions the meaning of a particular, of a particular text. Okay, to a community or culture. Now, here, there's one example. So this is an example that I found in Pramod K. Nair sir's text. Okay, which I found quite appealing. So, if we take the concept of Gandhi Jayanti, so he has given a few examples there, but I'm just taking two of the relevant things that he has mentioned. So, Gandhi Jayanti is something, or if we view this particular notion of Gandhi Jayanti, how do they mean to the Indians? Or what is their value to the Indian culture? Okay, or how their meanings changed in globalized world. That is one example that he takes. He takes the example of a Gandhi Jayanti. So here he gives two terms called interpretation and critique. That's a method that he uses. So if we interpret Gandhi Jayanti, we can see that it is definitely something that is related to it is something that is related to the culture of India. So here, the community is that of India. So that is the interpretation. Or Gandhi Jayanti is significant for the Indians, for the Indian culture, for the Indian community as a whole. Now, culture studies, what it does is that it tries to critique this very notion. Where he says, where it says patriarchal ideas of the nation. So when we talk about Gandhiji, of course, Gandhiji is the father of a nation. But then the term father, that is questioned over there. So that when we say father of the nation, that indicates a patriarchal sense, or that's a patriarchal sort of an idea. So this is what culture studies does, or this is what the approach is. Okay. Now he gives another example, so I think I'll discuss that example as well. Is that of a cricket match? Cricket match, we all know. So when we look into cricket match, we can see that cricket match is also the very notion of a cricket match is something that is part of, or cricket is something that is enjoyed by all Indians alike. There might be exceptions, but still for a majority. So that is something which is again significant. That is something which pertains to the Indian community or the Indian culture. Now, if we try to critique the cricket match itself, we can see that cricket itself is a colonial game. Okay, so there are many who claim that hockey is actually a national game. So that's a question here. So why are we giving more importance to cricket, which is a colonial game, and not to hockey? So these are the examples that he mentions in his particular text. All right. So what culture studies does is to interpret these signs of culture as part of a power struggle to maintain or contest meanings. So I'm pretty sure, so these are the things that we might not have thought before. For us, Gandhi Jayanti is Gandhi Jayanti, cricket is cricket. But here in culture studies, what they do is that they try to delve deep into it and try to find the cultural meanings. That's an example that he mentions in this particular text. Okay. Now, just moving on to the next point. Now, this is something that you ought to know while you're doing a cultural analysis or a cultural approach. In cultural studies, the term that they generally use, or the preferred term used in cultural studies, is a representation. Representation, that's a word that they use mostly in a cultural approach. Representation. Representation is nothing but the meaning. So this is the term that they use mostly in culture studies, which is the process of signifying or meaning generation. So representation means generating meanings. So here, this includes the word or sign and its concept or meaning. Now, representation presents the world in such a way that we can understand it. Or it can be an image, it can be a word, it can be a concept, whatever. So representation is a word used by the culture studies discipline. Okay, it is more or less like an alphabet of culture. Representation is more or less like the alphabets of the culture. These alphabets, they join together to form the language. So representation is basically, or when we view culture, it's basically about representation, how they are being represented. Now, it is that representation that generates meanings. Okay, so here, so there are a few things associated with that. So meaning, again, as I already mentioned, it is connected to the issues of power, class or ideology, etc. So here, as we can understand, meaning is something that is contextual. as I mentioned before, so I hope this point is clear. So in culture studies, we mainly try to see how the representations are. Now, representation representation, as I mentioned, it's essentially the meaning. Now here this meaning is something that is contextual. So just now we looked into October 2nd. October 2nd, it is Gandhi Jayanti in the context of India. So that meaning here is contextual. Okay, this context is something that they call discourse. I think you already know the meaning of discourse. Now, in terms of culture studies, they call this particular term or this particular context as discourse. So that meaning becomes valid only in that context or in that discourse. That is one thing that we generally discuss in culture studies. Now, so that's one point. So what culture studies does is to interpret such signs or try to find the meaning there. So I think I have another minor point here. Let me see if time permits. I'll discuss it towards the end. So let me just quickly look into some of the other points. Now, contemporary culture studies, it takes everyday life seriously, as I had already mentioned. Okay, taking into consideration the lifestyle, the social relations, where I told that I had already mentioned that subjectivity forms a very crucial part. Okay. Now, since I mentioned Raymond Williams, I think I need to mention one of the terms by Raymond Williams, who refers to the everyday culture as lived culture. That's one important term that we need to know. Lived culture. Okay. So this lived culture is produced through the everyday living. Okay, that is the food, fashion, entertainment, festivals, etc. So the everyday culture, Raymond Williams regards this everyday culture as lived culture. It's one term that we need to know. So culture studies investigates this process of, so here we can see that this culture is something that is produced. This culture is produced and culture studies investigates this process of culture production. So that's one thing. That's a minor point which I wanted to mention here. Now, this culture studies, as I had already mentioned, it is something that makes use of different disciplines. Okay. Now, in culture studies, there's one point. Apart from this, apart from the things that we have discussed, that is a culture studies in the media. Okay, so in media, this notion of a cultural analysis is something that is that is very important, or that has been represented in a very effective way. Because as we all know, media, now in culture studies, what they call is the mass media. Let it be cinema or the television or whatever. Now, mass media, according to the cultural critiques, the mass media, it has a much more profound, strong impact than the other forms. So here, so I just wanted to mention that one minor point here. So how it is found in the media. Okay. So here culture studies. So why media forms an important part is because culture studies is interested in the ways in which communication as well as community are linked. So of course, we looked into the community aspect. Now, community as well as communication, how they're linked. So the culture studies, tries to explore that as well. So communication, as you all know, it's about language, it's about communication. So in this context, we can see that is also about representation. And media, definitely are technologies of communication. Okay, and therefore media has a very important role in production of meaning. So that's what the cultural critics say, that films are often referred to as mass media or mass communication, affecting and influencing a large number of people and therefore integral to culture. So, what has been represented. So at present, we know that, cinema as a medium or movies, they are taken very seriously. And all those, portrayals that are problematic, or all those portrayals that are unfair, they're rightly questioned. So that itself is a cultural approach. So I think it goes without saying, most of you know that, especially in terms of the representation of women in Malayalam cinema, there are several studies on that. So those misogynies or those things that are not supposed to be represented, they're all questioned right away. So we can see that if we view movies in general, we can see that there's definitely a shift in the representation. Now, not also of women, but then whatever misrepresentations that were there before, those have been taken care of at present. At present, we can see that there are many, such misrepresentations or such, inappropriate representations, they are avoided. So that indicates a shift. Okay, or we can say that that's definitely a cultural change. That sense. Okay, so culture studies assumes that the media culture, let it be from the print or to the internet, is both political as well as ideological, reproducing existing social values, oppressions, and inequalities. So media has that power, it has that capacity to portray culture. Okay, so here that's what he says. Media culture reflects the multiple sides of contemporary debates and problems. Okay, and any reading of the media must always be a political reading. So I wanted to mention this point because culture studies is something, or the shift, or rather the cultural analysis is something that can be seen in terms of a mass culture or in terms of mass media as well. Mass media or the media in general, it plays a very crucial role. So that's one thing which I wanted to discuss. So these are some of the things that are mentioned, or that culture studies essentially deals with. Now, there's one minor point which I wanted to mention. So I hope I have a few more minutes. Okay, so just one point. With that, I'll just wind up. So here is basically something about culture studies playing a part of, or culture playing a part of one's identity. So if we try to portray the identity of a boy or a girl. So imagine we take both a boy and a girl. We're trying to find their identity, or when we try to portray their identity, we can see that. So imagine someone giving a doll to a girl and a powerful tool to a boy. So that itself shows how identity is kind of formed. So here we can see that. So that's what. So these are how these are how a particular artifact. So let's take the example of a doll. So doll as well as a powerful tool, a tool for repair. Both these are entities. They are both objects. They are both artifacts. Now, giving a doll to a girl and such a tool to a boy, that itself indicates the inherent science within it. So giving a doll to a girl indicates, or the hidden meaning within that particular text. Here the text is a doll. Is that a girl is generally interested in grooming. So such stereotypes are being formed. So, or giving a tool to a boy, that indicates the fact that boy is someone who is more powerful, physically more powerful. So these are the ways in which identity is sort of created, or culture, how in turn it deals, or in turn how it produces an identity. That's a minor point I missed in between. Okay. So when we try to look into that particular gesture, we can see that it shows the gender difference. So many of the culture critics, they try to view these things, or they try to study such gender differences. in terms of a cultural analysis. Okay. So these are some of the aspects. Now, I think I'll just quickly conclude. So to conclude, these forms of, there's new forms of cultural critique, like the writing cultures movement. Okay, just to wind up. Okay. So by the mid 1980s, okay. So the new forms of cultural analysis, okay, like the writing cultures, okay, writing cultures movement in anthropology, it advocated a textualistic approach to the representation of culture with, renewed interest in areas like film, theater, popular culture, clothing, sporting events, new media, even pornography. Okay, its scope is widening currently. So as I mentioned just before, the very notion of culture, or as culture studies, it widens the perspectives as such. And for the same reason, English departments, so that's a thing that you need to know. English departments, the English studies that are happening at present, they are basically culture studies. There are many English departments who are now known as culture studies departments, because at present, whatever interpretations or whatever studies that happen at present, they are culture studies rather than literary studies. All right. So I could not discuss the whole thing as such, but then what I gave in my lecture are a few snippets of culture studies. So I hope you've all understood what I spoke till now. So that's it. Thank you. Yeah. If you have any doubts or clarifications, you can.
Thank you. Thank you for your wonderful session, sir. I think we are entering to the Q&A session. So I think either the participant can ask the questions, or you can just put your questions in the chat box and we can discuss about it. Please.
If you have any question, please you can ask students. Please, it's a time for asking questions.
You can feel free. If there is any point that was unclear, I can explain. If you want to ask.
Excuse me, sir. Sir, could you talk about some areas where students can...
Since the time was almost getting over, I had to rush towards a few points towards the end.
Excuse me, sir. Can you hear me, sir? Can you hear me, sir?
I'm sorry, you're not audible. Yeah, now I can hear you. Tell me.
Sir, could you talk about some areas in cultural studies where students can do their projects on? I mean, maybe some creative areas. You talked about folk songs and those things, isn't it?
I was actually expecting. I'm happy that you asked me this question. Now this is something that I actually told my students. When I was teaching in Bangalore at Mount Carmel College. This is something that I told my students to pursue, but unfortunately, none of them took the initiative. Maybe you can look into, this is something that maybe you can do it as a project or maybe as a paper. You can look into the coffee house culture in India. It's a pretty interesting, I found it very interesting. Starting from our local tea shops to the revolution made by the Indian coffee house to the present notion of, how the coffee shops have changed. Maybe this is something which I found interesting, and unfortunately I could not take up this topic and further proceed with it, because we can see that in culture studies, as I had mentioned, they basically talk about such open spaces. Just now, I mean, in my lecture, I spoke about Yakshadikari Baiju, where a playground is the center. So similarly, maybe this is something that you can think about. So when you try to do such an analysis, it need not be a written one. You can take photographs, you can take videos, because at present, when you are trying to research or when you are trying to do a paper itself, you need not do everything in a written format. Now, these are the things that you can maybe look into. So if you find this topic interesting, maybe this is something that you can look into. Because this is basically about an open space. And I think there aren't any studies in this regard. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Any other questions?
If you have any other questions, you can unmute and ask, or you can just put it in the chat box.
Now, formality, please, friends, you can.
Feel free. Yeah.
If you have any other idea about projects, students, you can ask, sir.
Yeah. If not culture studies, if you have anything other than that to discuss, maybe something theoretical, that's also fine.
If no questions, can we wind up, sir?
Yes, sir, I think we can wind up.
Okay, okay. Shraddha?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you can.
Good evening, one and all. Today we had a very informative talk by Dr. A. Balu Vichayaraghavan. Such an intellectual deliberation are very important to enhance the thought process of students and teachers within the academic world. I have been given the responsibility to thank all those who participated in the program. First of all, I wish to express my sincere gratitude to the Honorable Speaker, Dr. Balu Vichayaraghavan, for accepting our invitation and providing a thought-provoking lecture. Thank you, sir. I thank our beloved principal, Dr. Suresh A, for his support and encouragement on behalf of the students and teachers of English department. I would like to thank our Chief Operating Officer, Sri C.P. Jaishankar, for his support. I would like to thank our HOD, Dr. Anjana Shankar, for her encouragement. I would like to use this opportunity to thank Prasad Sir of Department of Economics for his help and support. I would like to thank Mr. Manu Prakash, the coordinator, for his effort in organizing the program. I would like to thank Akhil for preparing a brochure for this event. Let me end by thanking all other teachers and participants for their patient listening. Once again, thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.